Welcome. My name is Don McGreal, and I'm here to talk to you about sprint planning. So we're about to schedule a sprint planning meeting. Let's say we have a 2-week sprint, so we should probably schedule maybe about 4 hours. Let's say we start at 8 a.m., maybe we end at noon, maybe a quick break in the middle. A popular thing to do is to divide the sprint planning into 2 sections. The first part is the what. What are we going to do in the sprint? The second part is how. How are we going to do it? So let's start with the what. If we were at 4 hours, the first 2 hours, as a good way to facilitate this, we're trying to figure out what are we going to take from the product backlog and move into the sprint. So the way I like to facilitate these things is as soon as everybody walks into the room, we've got a nice ordered product backlog here, and then it's up to the development team to figure out which ones of these can we actually achieve in the next sprint. So they're going to look at this, and they're going to be asked to move product backlog items into the sprint. It's very important that it's not the Scrum Master, it's certainly not the product owner doing this. I like to actually have the development team physically taking this. It's a lot different than having a Scrum Master going in, out, and moving this on behalf of the team. It does a lot for the actual ownership for the development team to physically move these over. I know it seems simple, but when I started facilitating it this way, I've seen a ripple effect throughout the rest of the sprint when it comes to ownership over the plan. So there's a natural check and balance as well with this, is a development team's naturally going to ask a lot of questions about these things before they decide whether they feel they can do it in the sprint or not. So they're slowly moving these things over until they feel comfortable that it's achievable. If they want to try something, move something in they're not as comfortable with, it's totally up to the development team. But at the end, this is what we want to visualize. So they've got, if you follow that sort of 50-50 rule I mentioned, they've got 2 hours to figure this out. And with a good refined product backlog, that shouldn't be a huge issue. But then we move on to the second part. So they might take a break at 10 a.m., they come back, and now I want to visualize what the next step is. So the next step is for them to break this down into sprint backlog items, which are just smaller decomposed product backlog items. These can be tasks, smaller stories if you're using user stories. But really what they're trying to do is figure out what the sprint backlog items that they need to do are within the sprint. So when I visualize this, I like to use maybe a smaller sticky, just to show that they're smaller breakdowns. The Scrum Guide suggests something like a day or less. So their next job for the next 2 hours till noon is to fill these in. So again, very important, it's the development team doing this, not the Scrum Master, not the product owner, not a manager, not one person on the team. Everybody should be there, Sharpie, and filling this out. So it becomes a very clear visualization and a goal, an objective of this event. If they finish earlier, then they get out of there. But ultimately, by the end of it, they've got a representation of the plan for the sprint, otherwise known as a sprint backlog. So it might end up looking something like this. They've got a lot of these different tasks. You've got QA things, whatever they want to do, research, programming effort. And then at the end, you've got a visualization here. And a good question to ask is, this is our plan. You guys good with this plan? Are you ready to move on it? And they might invite the product owner in to they might have some outstanding questions. But this is very much, the second half is very much a development team effort on figuring out how to do this. And then the other good news is you're pretty much set up for visualizations for the rest of the sprint too. You can be set up, you can put a work in progress lane, you can have a done area as well. And then throughout the sprint, they can be moving things through this. So the outcome I like to see in sprint planning is an actual plan for the sprint that can be looked at every single day afterwards in the daily Scrum. This can be done remotely too with a lot of the different teams. Same rules apply. Let the development team own this, let the development team move this, hands off from anybody else doing this. So that's a little bit of some ideas around the facilitation of sprint planning. Another really important aspect of sprint planning is for the product owner and the development team, the whole Scrum team, to agree on an overall sprint goal. The sprint goal is an overarching objective, sort of the next hill you want to take in the overall battle, if you will. And so what I like to do to facilitate this is just have an area maybe right above the overall sprint plan, the sprint backlog, where they have to agree on an overarching goal. It's not really about the number of product backlog items that they do. It's really about a goal that creates cohesiveness in the work for the sprint. If you want to know more, reach out to me, look at all the other resources on Scrum.org. My name is Don McGreal. You can find me on this website. Thank you.